Hello, Cancer, and welcome into your end of year reading. It is the end of the astrological year. We are coming out of the winter solstice, going into the spring equinox, which will happen on March 20th. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you're watching this reading is the right time for you. I will be looking at what cycle is ending for you, Cancer, and get some tarot clarification around an oracle card as to what cycle are you completing, what cycle are you coming out of. This reading is geared towards Cancer, so looking at Cancer sun, moon signs, rising signs. If you're in relationship with a Cancer, you may find this reading interesting, or you just might like the title of the reading and are drawn here too because there's something in the title that pulls you in and says, hey, that reading is for me. So that works as well. So there will be an extended reading available at the end of this reading where I will get greater clarification on what comes out in the tarot as well as additional oracle advice. So without any further conversation, I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. That way when I post new content, you will receive updates on when those postings have happened. And if you like this video, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. And any comments are appreciated on how this reading may have resonated with you, Cancer. So Spirit, could you please provide us with some advice for Cancer on what cycle is ending for Cancer? And so before I go too far, let me let you know what deck I'm using. This is Carolyn, I think you pronounce her name, Mace's deck on archetype cards. And so I really love the concept of the archetype. An archetype is a type of form or way in which consciousness can express itself in a form. And we see archetypes like the hero, the villain, the damsel in distress, and so forth in our stories that have existed across time and place. And so I'm trying to see what archetype that you have been playing out as you work through some of the karmic cycles for you in this last year. So coming out from March of 2021 going into March of 2022 over this last astrological year, or whenever you're watching this video, right? So what karmic cycle, what archetype have you been occupying, Cancer, that you will be releasing, or what cycle is ending for you? What archetypal cycle is ending for Cancer? All right. Okay, so I've included reversals in this deck. So if a card comes out in reverse, I'm going to look at the shadow attribute. So there's the light or the higher vibration, and then the shadow is the lower vibration of the card. For you, Cancer, we've got engineer in reverse. So the engineer, this is interesting. The engineer says reliance in the shadow attribute is reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. So this is a cycle that you're completing. This is what you've been working on. The light attribute of being an engineer is using creative energy to find solutions by figuring out how to create a system, or these are the rules. This is what this is. This is these are the rules. The rules always work. This is what keeps things going. I don't care how you feel about it, right? This is a shadow attribute. I don't care how you feel about it. This is the way we're doing it. This is the way we've always done it. This is what you're releasing, Cancer. This reliance on mechanistic, like being like a machine, solutions without thinking about the emotional consequences. Like, how does this make other people feel? So in some ways it's like, Cancer, you may have been responding in your life, right, as this engineer, like, well, this is a great system and it's extremely efficient. Like, you might go to the hospital. Hospitals are really good at having these kind of bureaucratic systems that process people in for healthcare. Schools can do this. Any large institution can do this. But we know they're very impersonal, right? Like going to the DMV, that's too bad, that's not the rules, we need your insurance card, I don't really have time for questions, this is how we do it. Well, you've been working on that for yourself, Cancer. You have been working on releasing this over this last year, so good for you. And healing that, right? This is all about healing work. Our karmic cycles are about healing patterns, healing our karma or certain types of toxic patterns or things that we don't see. In the shadow, it's in the subconscious. We don't even, it on the surface, it looks like it's working. But when we really do that deeper work, we find out like, oh, I'm really doing something, I don't really like the outcome of that. So the engineer, let me get some advice here from the book. In the shadow position, the engineer manifests as a master manipulator, designing situations to one's own advantage, regardless of the needs of others. So you're supposed to look for a pattern of designing and building structures, devices, and solutions that's in the positive, but where you've been doing that, regardless of how other people have maybe felt about that. So being maybe a little bit too much like a machine, like an unfeeling kind of robot, like this is how we do it. This is what works best for me. This is when I being very sort of cold, calculating, my way or the highway. And but not in an aggressive way, but just in a like rational way, just very distant and cold. And that can have been problematic in your relationships, obviously, right? Cancer. And this is not, this is definitely in the shadow for a Cancer, because a Cancer is very much about feeling and being at home. The reason you would become so rigid and mechanistic, particularly as a Cancer, is you're in your shell, right? That's the crab is in the shell, and you're trying to stay safe, right? And anytime we're trying to stay safe, that's because we really have a lot of fear. Like, if I don't do this, do you know what could happen? And this is not probably just necessarily even, I know the card has said a lot about how this is impacting other people, but this is probably also impacting your own emotional needs, right? Maybe having rigid rules around diet and exercise, or rigid rules around when you can have fun or what is fun. And it's not, maybe on what kind of clothes you can wear, or what kind of makeup you can have, or what kind of friends you do, or rules around, just everything, because this is how it's going to work best for me. And then there is this is how it's going to work best for me, and my way or the highway, which could lead to, which could really cut you off from your emotions, your feelings, and deeper intimate connections with other people. Right, so that's what you would miss out on that. So good for you. This is the cycle that's ending. This is what you've been working on over the last year there, Cancer. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pull 4 cards. And the first card is going to represent where you are in this situation, the energy. Actually, I'm not going to use this deck first. That's my clarification deck. I'm going to use this Voyager Tarot deck to get some advice from Spirit. So, yes, Spirit, we're going to request some advice for where you are in this situation, how you've grown, right? What growth have you had around this particular cycle for you over the last astrological year? What needs to be let go of? What still remains that needs to be let go of? And then a surprise from the universe for next year. Again, I will do a clarification in the extended reading. If you want to go further with me, that'll be available as well. So let's see, Spirit, what additional advice or information do you have around the archetype of engineer that Cancer is leaving behind, is moving out of this cycle? So let's see. All right, so Cancer, you are showing up as the 8 of Wands, or Harmony. And I don't know if you can see those rainbows kind of bouncing off the corners, figuring out how to work with others, right? I mean, definitely getting all these different kinds of sounds and musical instruments in sync, in harmony, working harmoniously with other people. Yeah, so you're in a good spot. You really have mastered this cycle of moving out of these mechanistic solutions into flowing better, right? And bringing different, I want different sounds, different music, different feelings, because music is really about feelings. This is a Wands card, which is energy, right? Getting maybe people on who are maybe going in different directions, right, in your life, bringing them together and being comfortable and okay with that, okay with being different yet harmonious, right, working together. We don't all have to be doing the same thing. I can make space for different people, and we can all move together in harmony, right, being harmonious. So that's great. The next card is your growth. You have success, or Ace of Worlds. Like, you have definitely become very successful figuring out how to create success in your life through harmony, right? And that was a point of being the engineer. Was you thought maybe my way or the highway was the only way you could get the job done. And what you've been able to figure out over this year is how to work with others, to bring in harmony into your relationships, and to be more emotional, which in fact brought you the kind of success that you were looking for. You know, a very grounded, expansive, I mean, you have the world, right? All of these different worlds. Ace of Worlds is a new beginning. Worlds are very grounded, right? Being able to create your own new kind of world, that's a success, like a win-win. That's what this is. This is the win-win card. You have been able to figure out how to do a win for you and a win for those people around you, so that your relationships are more harmonious. What still needs to be let go of? The Star card. The Star card is generally a card of healing. So there's still some, I see. It is, but in this case, you're the star, right? You still need to let go of kind of still needing to be at the center of attention for everything, of needing to be the star of the show. It is, you know, it's still a little bit of a controlling element, right? And so Spirit is saying you still need to work on that. That still needs to be released. Maybe something you do in the full moon is think about how you, you know, this is where you come in with being a harmonious. You've gained a lot of growth in figuring out how to have success by incorporating, right? Like we have all of these different planets here on the card, and getting them all to kind of work together as one. So this card is a one. Ace is a singular, and yet we have many different worlds for a singular card. How to incorporate many different worlds, many different perspectives into your life, into whatever spaces, whether it's your home space, your workspace, your personal life. But still we have this issue of like, yeah, but I'm really the star of the show, right? I'm really the star of the show. And I think this is a statue. I think she's like some kind of goddess, maybe Aphrodite. There's like this diamond ring here on the card here, and you can see like the galaxy. Like I'm center. I'm the center of everything. I'm the center of attention. Like even the statue here is in the center of the card. Needing to be the center of attention, being the star of the show. That still needs to go, right, to really complete this lesson for you. So something to release in the full moon. All right, and then we've got a surprise message from the universe. Change for next year. 8 of Worlds. So expect some big changes to your world. And worlds are pentacles. Pentacles is a traditional way to see in this deck. It's worlds. But it's like the material world, the things that ground you in your space. You've got some changes coming in. There's a picture of a chameleon. We've got some chameleon energy. There's a peach. Makes me think of like new life. Some expansiveness of Jupiter. We've got some Saturn, some work. Let me see. I can get a sense of, I will clarify this so I could get some further information about this in the extended, but for now, I feel like I saw some other animal. I see a little bird, but mostly the chameleon. What else is standing out to change? The sun. Surprise coming in next year. Some significant changes to your world. And this can happen. Okay, so this is a surprise. And I don't know if you've been wanting to make some changes in your world, there, Cancer, but that cannot have happened unless you had gotten through this lesson of trying to be the engineer and manipulate and kind of keep everything very rigid. Because what you were doing is only seeing the world through your perspective, and you weren't able to incorporate, right, other people's music, other people's creations and vibrations and contributions. When you're able to do that, you actually come out much more successful. And this is going to allow some kind of change that the universe wants to bring in for you next year. And so this is a surprise. You're not anticipating a change, but this is going to be some kind of big change coming in for you. So I definitely will look into that further in the extended as to what kind of change here is going on. So let me get some, I'm going to close this reading out with an oracle card here in just a moment. But I do want to say, as far as other signs that you may be dealing with, star is Aquarius energy. So there may be an Aquarius around you that you need to also release, because this is coming up in the things to release position. So there may be an Aquarius who also is sitting at the center stage of your world, or an Aquarius around you that needs to also be released. So I'm not sure who that might be for you there, Cancer. All right, so let's close out this reading. I'm going to be looking into the Whispers of Healing Tarot and get some final advice for this part of the reading, and then I'll continue on in the extended where I'll be able to go a little deeper into what, what particularly this change that's coming in. But for right now, Spirit, what final advice do you have for Cancer as Cancer exits this astrological year? What final advice do you have for Cancer? What final advice do you have for Cancer, Spirit? Reawaken. Reawaken. We've got this little beautiful child sleeping, our little fairy child. This is a number 7. It's a divine number. Spirit is connecting with you. Reawaken. She looks like a little fairy or butterfly that's fallen into a deep dream or sleep, right? And needs to reawaken and remember who she is. There's some kind of awakening that's coming. That Spirit is asking you to awaken to. So let me go ahead and read this card for you. You have been suppressing a part of yourself. This card is granting you the opportunity to heal self-judgment or embrace any hidden aspects of your nature. The primary relationship you have with yourself was formed in infancy. Your relationship with your present self developed on that foundation and adjusted based on experience and observation in the wider world. Become aware of your inner child. This is what we want to reawaken for you, Cancer. Be willing to consciously communicate with the child that is within you. Listen to how your inner child feels. It is imperative to realize that others cannot meet your unfulfilled needs. Take responsibility for your happiness. It is up to you to satisfy your heart's desire. Work on healing any buried hurts you have been carrying with you. You may be unaware of where your emotional pain stems from. This is a gentle prompt for you to determine the cause of your pain. If necessary, seek support in getting to the root of your issues. A ray of sunlight on a resting fairy highlights the importance of inner healing. The wings of a fairy usually stand for liberation or freedom. This imagery is addressing the innocence that lies within you. The spider web in the foreground is symbolic of the choices you are making and the network of support available to you. Trust that deep healing is possible. You will be able to move on from this place once you let go of your hidden hurt. So that's the advice that Spirit is giving to you. Like I said, control, fear. It's really about fear. To reawaken that inner child, deep healing. Yeah, you're hidden away in there, Cancer. You're in that shell. It's time to come out. We've got some changes coming in for you next year, so maybe that's part of that change. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this reading, and I'll continue on in the extended.